What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. So week 3 has officially come and gone. We got a lot of games to talk about with there still being no bye weeks. Another busy Sunday. A lot of drama as well, especially at the end of the early and late windows. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Let's talk about these games. All right, so starting off with Thursday Night Football, as expected, the Bills took care of business against the Miami Dolphins. And maybe not as expected, this game was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that. The Dolphins definitely hung around a lot longer and a lot closer than I think a lot of people, myself included, thought that they were going to. As far as Buffalo goes, the defense continues to be a bit of a concern. The opposing offenses continue to pretty easily move the ball down the field to get some points on the board against this defense, but I'll give it a bit of a pass this week because Ed Oliver and Matt Milano did not play on a short week, so down some key pieces, so I'm willing to give it a bit of a pass here. But I mean, Josh Allen just continues to be a top 2 quarterback. I mean, once again, as per usual, he just dominated Miami all night and kind of just did as he pleased. As for Miami, this is the best they've looked all season. It's not a very high bar, but they look great. They gave the Bills everything they could handle, but yet again, a pick in crunch time for Tua dictated the outcome of this game, and it cost the Dolphins a chance to either win this game or at the very least send this game into overtime. And at 0-3, the season might already be over for the Dolphins. It's going to be hard for the Dolphins to climb out of this hole at 0-3. It's not specific to them. It's just 0-3 is difficult for any team to dig out of. Moving into the early window on Sunday, we had the Buccaneers taking down the Jets in what was very close to being an all-time either collapse or comeback, depending on how you want to look at it. This was a boat race all the way up until halfway through the fourth quarter. If that, I believe there was only like 6 minutes left when the Jets scored that first touchdown on that little run they went on. As for Tampa, like I said, this was a near all-time collapse on defense and special teams. They were in complete control of this game, and all of a sudden, just like that, in the blink of an eye, the Jets took the lead. So I'm not sure if it's something to worry about going forward because their defense has played well up to this point, but it's notable at the very least that this happened against the Jets of all teams. But I mean, if anything goes to show for the offense for this game, it's just that Baker is a bad man. I mean, the Jets take the lead, and it's insane that the only thought that's going through every NFL fan's head is Baker Mayfield's getting the ball back with a minute and a half to go. So, I mean, he's already starting to build that reputation as never being out of a game and always giving his team a shot. So, again, he is a top 10 quarterback, like I said last week. I'm not sure if that's up for debate at this point. As far as New York goes, Aaron Glenn definitely has the culture going. Those clips of him dancing on the sideline were awesome. And I love what he's doing over there. I love him as a coach, and I think he's definitely a perfect fit for this Jets job. And this team definitely has talent. You look at guys like Garrett Wilson, Quentin Williams, Will McDonald, all those guys, the talent is there. It's absolutely not deniable, but they still have to work on building the core. I still do not think that Justin Fields is the long-term answer at quarterback, so they just need to build that core. They need to build the culture first and foremost, which it looks like they're doing a great job of behind Aaron Glenn, but they definitely need to build that core. They definitely need to get a group of guys coming together and willing to trust the process and really willing to build the team going forward. But again, the pieces are there. As for our second game in the early window, we had the Philadelphia Eagles taking down the Rams in a comeback effort, and this was a heavyweight bout that was as advertised, and it lived up to last year's playoff classic. This was an amazing game to watch. As for Philly, this is the first time really all season that they've faced adversity as the defending champions, and they responded amazingly. I mean, they go down big in the second half, and it really looked dead in the water, honestly. It looked like the Rams were going to cruise to a win, and then all of a sudden the Eagles just turned it on and were able to get a clutch comeback victory. And speaking of clutch, hats off to the special teams. I mean, blocking 2 field goals in a row in the winning effort. I mean, you can't ask for much more out of your special teams unit, so if there was a Unit of the Week award, this Philly special teams unit would have definitely won that award. As for LA, unfortunately, they let the defending champs stay in the game a little too long, and it came back and cost them. They really had a chance to pull away from them late in the first half, early in the second half. They just weren't able to do it, and it came back and cost them. And it's a tough loss for the Rams, but it's not concerning in any way. I feel like if Stafford stays healthy throughout the season, the Rams can not only go toe-to-toe with any contender, your Eagles, your Bills, your Ravens, your Lions. They can go toe-to-toe with all those teams, but even on top of that, they are contenders themselves. Again, the Rams' title hopes, they completely ride on the health of Matthew Stafford and the health of Matthew Stafford's back. As long as that holds up, the Rams absolutely have a chance to win the Super Bowl. And staying in the early window, we had the Cleveland Browns taking down the Green Bay Packers in what is undeniably the upset of the week and what may go down as the upset of the year, depending on how the year goes for both of these teams. As for Cleveland, this defense might be legit. It may not be a flash in the pan situation where they've had a couple good weeks in a row. This defense could be the real deal. They've gotten after the quarterback 3 weeks in a row. Their pass coverage has been fantastic 3 weeks in a row. This really does have the makings of a good unit and possibly a top 5 unit by year's end. And Joe Flacco does need to be the starter. This game showed that he needs to lead this team. Whether or not he's the best quarterback on the roster is definitely up for debate. I won't deny that. But his veteran presence is essential for this team this season. Again, regardless of if he's the best quarterback on the roster, he needs to be the starter. He needs to be the leader of this team. As for Green Bay, they did not take care of a bad Cleveland team like good teams are supposed to. Think about how Baltimore really started pulling away from the Browns in the third quarter last week and how they started piling it on. That's what good teams are supposed to do to teams like the Browns. Obviously, the Packers did not do that on Sunday. I thought about this when I was thinking back on the game. This was an almost identical game to the 49ers playoff game in 21-22 where the Packers lost in the divisional round. They had control in almost every aspect: offense, defense, special teams, coaching. They had complete control of this game until the Love interception in the fourth quarter. Think back to that 49ers playoff game. It was the punt block that changed the whole complex of the game. And then obviously the 49ers won as time expired. It's almost the same scenario here. The Packers were in complete control. Love throws the interception, and then the Browns end up taking control of the game and winning as time expires. It's almost identical. It's almost scary. I'm not writing off the Packers. They just may not be legit as was previously thought. Maybe not the defense. I don't think this game is a huge indicator of if the defense is legit or not, because they played great. Obviously, they only gave up 13 points, still got a ton of pressure, and they still played great. It was really the offense that cost the Packers the game. So Packers may or may not be as legit as we thought, but time will tell. Moving into the 4 o'clock window, the Broncos fell for the second week in a row, this time at the hands of the Los Angeles Chargers. And this game was a game all about momentum. It flipped back and forth all day, and what turned out to be a pretty classic divisional grudge match. Two teams not giving each other an inch in a game that went down to the wire, in another game that the outcome was decided as time expired. As for Denver, I'm really starting to get concerned about this offense, especially the consistency. And I feel like the offense so far is going as Bo Nix goes, much similarly to the offense. Consistency is starting to become a bit of an issue. Bo isn't always setting his feet when he throws. It's the main reason why he had those 3 crucial overthrows on Sunday. The offense goes as the quarterback goes. It's a quarterback-driven league, and since Bo hasn't been super consistent in the early going this year, the offense has been super consistent. They, again, showed flashes. I think that drive at the start of the second half where J.K. Dobbins essentially took over and drove the team down the field by himself, and then I think there were 6 3-and-outs. They need to establish a rhythm at this point. It's the sky is not falling at this point. Like, I get it's not the start that we were hoping for, but sky is not falling. I'm not worried yet at this point. Mainly because there have been so many times where a team has stumbled out of the gate and they end up being fine. I'm not trying to cope or anything, but there's also been stretches where teams have not started out the best and ended up being fine and making the playoffs. Think about Packers back in 2016, Aaron Rodgers running the table. They went from 4-6, 10-6, made the playoffs. That's all besides the point. But again, key thing here is I'm not worried at this point. I'm concerned, but I'm not worried at this point. As for LA, it was not their best effort, wasn't their prettiest game, but they got the job done, and now all of a sudden, not only 3-0 overall, they are 3-0 in the division, which is quite the statement to be making in the early going. I mean, hats off to the Chargers. They have taken care of business in all 3 games. They've gotten themselves a well-earned cushion in the division, so really hats off to them. And staying in the late window, we had the 49ers taking down the Cardinals in what was a defensive grind through 3 quarters and just absolutely exploded in the 4th quarter. As for San Francisco, this is a huge win for them. They are now alone in first place in what in the early going is the most competitive division in football. They keep finding ways to win even down Purdy. Again, like I mentioned last week, even though they're not the fully healthy 49ers that we know him to be. Building off of that, it just came out that Nick Bosa has feared to have torn his ACL. If it turns out to be that, this is a crushing blow for the 49ers and the 49ers defense. I mean, like, if I'm a 49ers fan, it's Groundhog Day. Like, it's starting to look like 2024 all over again because, again, the talent is there, but it's just they're dropping like flies at this point. I mean, it's going to be hard to replace one of the top pass rushers in the league. There's no denying that, but again, the 49ers have talent when they're healthy, so if they can get healthy and really get everyone back around Bosa, then I feel like this team is going to be fine. As for Arizona, this is one of the biggest blown opportunities in the early going so far. I mean, they could have really asserted themselves early, given themselves some cushion before Purdy came back, and even with the Rams and Seahawks being 2-1, this was a golden opportunity for Arizona to get out ahead of the pack early, really assert themselves early, and they blew it. This was a brutal performance considering who they were going up against, especially by their pass catchers. There were so many key drops throughout the game. I feel like I can't even put this game on Kyler Murray. I mean, his pass catchers put up a brutal performance. And moving into Sunday night, we had the Kansas City Chiefs taking down the New York Giants. It was a very ugly, very weird game, and I really still have no idea why this was a Sunday night game. Again, both scheduled before the season and judging how it went. As for Kansas City, I mean, ugly still counts. I mean, a win's a win. They're in the win column for the first time this year, and this is a huge get-right game for them. They beat a team they were supposed to beat, and now they have some momentum going into their game next week against Baltimore. As for New York, Russ really needs to stop cooking. He ruined so many chances for the Giants really just by himself for them to get into range of tying the game or even taking the lead. Like, think how on their last desperation drive, Wan'Dale Robinson makes a huge catch on 4th down to get them to 1st and goal, and then Russ completely airballs it 4 times in a row. I mean, well, not 4 times in a row, because for some reason on 2nd and goal after an intentional grounding, they ran a QB draw, which I still don't really understand. But then again, 3 out of the 4 plays on that drive, Russ just airballs it out of bounds. So it's like, I mean, it's only a matter of time before we see Dart at this point. I mean, Russ had a good game against the Cowboys, which is starting to sound like that anyone has a good game against the Cowboys, quote-unquote, secondary. So it's just a matter of time before Dart inserts into the lineup. And moving into Monday night, the Lions went into Baltimore and took down the Ravens to get to 2-1. And in this one, it was a high-scoring affair, as was advertised. We were promised a lot of points. We definitely got a lot of them. 68 in total, including the garbage time touchdown there at the end by the Ravens, and the stars absolutely came out in this one. Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rashad Bateman, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson all had big nights. Starting with Detroit, though, this was definitely a statement win for them after the embarrassment back in week 1 in Green Bay. They beat the Bears last week, but I mean, it's the Bears. It's not that much of a statement. Going into Baltimore on primetime and taking down the Ravens is definitely a statement. So big win for them to not only to get to 2-1, but to prove all their doubters wrong here, at least in the early going. And Jared Goff especially, I mean, not the best start in the first couple weeks. Did throw 5 touchdowns last week, but didn't really do that much, but he made some big time throws on Monday night. He had a fantastic night and definitely helped Detroit get the win. A lot of this can be put on him, and rightfully so. I think this is the first time in a decent while, considering how the playoffs went last year, that we've truly been able to say that Jared Goff had a really good game last night. As for Baltimore, the tide once again was really turned by another uncharacteristic Derrick Henry fumble. And I'm not ready to say if this is going to become a habit at this point, because Derrick Henry has built up such a reputation of taking care of the football. So it's a little jarring to see that fumbles become a problem for him early in the season. So I'm not really ready to say that Derrick Henry does have a fumble problem, because again, of his reputation. That just doesn't really add up in my brain, and I really think that, you know, a couple fumbles in the first couple games is not going to be a dictator of how the year's going to go for Derrick Henry or the Ravens as a whole. And I think as a whole, they will be fine. If we remember, they started 0-2 last year. They still ended up fine. 13-4, won the division, got the 3 seed, got a home playoff win. So all things considered, I think they will be fine. I really don't think the 1 and 2 starters are going to hold them back too much. And now looking ahead to week 4, on Thursday night, we've got the Seattle Seahawks traveling to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. And this is another early season grudge match within the division. I think this one could have some playoff implications down the line. Just how both of these teams have started this year could be an indicator of where these teams are going to go from here. A big win could catapult them into some pretty early playoff contention, and a loss could set them back quite a bit here. So it should be a pretty interesting one. Then moving into Sunday at 9:30, better set your alarms. We've got our first international game of the year. We got the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers in Dublin. And Minnesota, of course, is coming off that offensive explosion last week. So, and that's going up against the usually pretty stout Pittsburgh defense. So a very interesting matchup there, especially considering that that offensive explosion happened behind backup quarterback Carson Wentz and backup running back Jordan Mason. So again, a very intriguing matchup there. Then in the 1 o'clock window, we've got the 3-0 Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Tampa to take on the 3-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And for the second straight week, the Philadelphia Eagles find themselves in a battle of unbeaten teams. And if you remember last year, Tampa beat them pretty thoroughly in the early season, but that's really the last time we've seen the Eagles of the end of the 2023 season. If you can remember that collapse, that's really the last time we saw the Eagles play out that. Ever since then, the Eagles have been a dominant force. So it's really interesting to see the Eagles go up against this team again, really the last team that has thoroughly beaten them. So again, a very interesting matchup here. Then moving into the 4 o'clock window, we've got the still undefeated Indianapolis Colts traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. And it's going to be super interesting to see if the Colts can keep this offensive run going against a very stout Los Angeles defense, who should be coming in pretty motivated with how the heartbreak went for them in the Eagles game last week. Then staying in the 4 o'clock window, we've got a loaded late window this week, so it should be pretty fun to watch. But our second game we're focusing on is the Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. And I think the Jaguars in this game are in a very similar spot that the Cardinals were in when they played the 49ers last week. This is really an early season measuring stick game for them. This is really a true chance for us to see what kind of team they have this year and if they can take that next step with Trevor Lawrence and maybe Brian Thomas can get together, or this is also a chance for the 49ers to improve their resume to get yet another win under the belt. Maybe Purdy's going to play. We don't quite know yet, but again, should be a pretty interesting game. Then staying in the 4 o'clock window, we've got the 1-2 Ravens traveling to Kansas City to take on the 1-2 Chiefs. And like I mentioned before, Kansas City got their bounce back game last week. They got into the win column. From their perspective, it was a good time to get it because they've got a big one up against Baltimore. And really the surprising thing that has developed with these two teams is only one of these teams is going to be 2-2 after Sunday. One of these teams, in theory, is going to be 1-3 after this game. Then Sunday night, we've got the 2-1 Packers traveling to Dallas to take on the 1-2 Cowboys. And obviously the big storyline here is this is Micah Parsons' return to Dallas. Other than that, I really think that on paper the Packers should win this game by a lot, but they should have won the Browns game by a lot, so it's very telling as to what to expect in this game, which is really not at all. We still don't really know what these two teams are made of, so yet another early season measuring stick game for both of these teams. Then on Monday night, we've got another doubleheader at 7:15. We've got the New York Jets taking on the Miami Dolphins, and it is just so unfortunate that this is a Monday night game. It's in the window where we can't flex it out of there. We're kind of stuck with watching this one. And, I mean, I guess really the only thing I can think of here is that whoever wins this game at least has a chance to save their season. Whoever loses this game, their season's over and done with, like, for sure. There's no saving it. So, again, in theory, because I do really think that considering these two teams, I do feel like a tie is at least a realistic possibility in this one. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a lot to say about this one. Then at 8:15, we've got the 2-1 Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Denver to take on the 1-2 Broncos. And obviously here, the Broncos are on a 2-game losing streak. Really need to get their rhythm here. Really need to get it going. The Bengals are coming off that shellacking at the hands of the Vikings. So both teams have a lot to play for, a lot to prove in this one. And both are looking to get back on the right track. And obviously, in theory, only one can get back on that track. But that is it for me in this video. As always, if you have any thoughts on the previous week, the week ahead, anything I had to say, feel free to drop it in the comments below. And if you like what you're seeing, feel free to like and subscribe. It is completely optional, but it is greatly appreciated. But that is it for me. Enjoy week 4, and I will see you in the next one.